Have you guys ever wanted to achieve something as a child, but you found yourself constantly procrastinating and focusing on too many things at once? Virtually overwhelmed by all that there was to do and see? So, in the end, you found yourself never really accomplishing what you set out to do? Well, that perfectly sums up my entire previous experience with RuneScape. But not this time, boys. Not this time. This time, I'm going to achieve everything that I set out to do over a decade ago. So I invite you to follow along on the journey as we avenge all those wasted hours years and years ago. And we're finally going to take on all the hardest challenges that this game has to offer. So to start off our journey in this episode, I knew that I was going to need to get some serious bankroll going, or I was going to be wearing Mythful for a very long time. So I did a little research, and I found these guys. And apparently they have a good chance of dropping herbs that are worth quite a bit of change. And they're definitely a step up from killing cows. So I did decide, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go there and I'm going to camp them until I was level 40 in all my combat stats. But first, I was going to need to obtain level 5 in agility to make it over this little half wall on the way from Falador Bank to really speed up the trips. Now, I'll be honest with you. I may have forgotten a lot of things about this game over the years, but one thing has always stayed with me. My hatred for training agility. And although I may have become stronger, faster, and wiser in my years, that doesn't matter because I still hate this skill. After what felt like 30 eternities, I finally got up to 12 agility and I decided I've had enough. It was time to leave this skill behind, at least for the time being. So I headed on over to the Chaos Druids and I went to get 40 in every combat skill. And, well, it definitely got old pretty quick. But after multiple trips and multiple hours to Falador and back, I was 40 in all the combat stats, and to top it off, I made about 650k from it all. And I felt like an absolute baller. And I was one step closer to purchasing the one thing in RuneScape that always evaded me and that I always wanted. No, none of that. A RuneScape girlfriend, obviously. After slaving my life away at the Chaos Druids, I decided it was probably for the best. I started working on all my other skills, or else I was going to repeat the same mistakes I always made as a kid. And that was primarily focusing on combat and never really tending to my skills or quests. And I would end up using a rune scimitar a lot later than I probably should, because I couldn't equip a dragon. Now, speaking of quests, I think it was time I set myself towards the probably most quintessential goal of them all. Completing Dragon Slayer. I mean, I gotta eventually be able to wear this sexy rune plate body or green d'hide body that's just sitting in my bank. So I embarked on my endeavor to level up my skills. And I figured since we already had a good start on fishing and cooking, it's probably best that we go with woodcutting and fire making. So I single-handedly began decimating all of RuneScape's tree population one swing at a time. And after a couple hours, I finally achieved 40 in both fire making and woodcutting. Figured that set me good for a while in those, and it was time to go on to the next two skills, crafting and fletching. Now, I had no idea these two skills were going to be a tad bit more expensive than I ever would have thought. But they did net me something besides experience, and that's some serious time to catch up on Netflix. And that's something I can always appreciate. After my cash stack started to dwindle faster than I thought it would, and faster than I would have liked, I stepped away with only 26 crafting and 17 fletching. Not really close to my goal of 40, but I'll come back once I've got a bigger cash stack to throw away. Now, while I was at the Grand Exchange, catching up on some Demon Slayer episodes on Netflix, I had to uphold my promise and keep my morals, boys. Because I was offered some handouts and freebies, ranging between 100k and a mil. And I informed them that I was a man of great moral standings and my pride would not let me take it. And that moral standing flew right out the window when it came to my next skill. Now, after turning down 3 mil in free coin, I got the idea, you know what? Let's go into Lumbridge and embark on a life of crime and delve into the deep undergrounds and become a thief. I began my thieving journey in Lumbridge, robbing poor men and women of their coin pouches. But as my cleverness and sleight of hand grew in experience, I evolved into a much bigger scheme. I was to become a pastry thief. So I made my way over to Argdorn, I think that's how you pronounce it, to begin my true life of crime and swim in the endless supply of frosty goodness. And eventually, I reached 30 thieving, and I put an entire generation of bakers out of business. But then, I decided it was time to knock off a few quests and would start our journey towards becoming a dragon slayer. So first off, I saved a headless ghost in Lumbridge and completed Restless Ghost. Then it was on to Draenor Manor to save a recently transformed individual from the life of being a poultrygeist. Ah, see what I did there? And finally, it was time to take on a quest that was iconic to mine and so many other childhoods. Demon Slayer. And not the Netflix show, which I might add is actually pretty good. But, back to the game. The hardest part of this quest to me was honestly remembering the damn incantation, and I may or may not have had to return to be retold what it was a few times. But, nevertheless, I conquered the demon and my short-term memory, and now I was rewarded with 14 quest points in total. And boys, we were halfway to vanquishing us a dragon. The next quest up was Chips Ahoy.
Oh my god. The fight is on. I've killed plenty of your kind, and they're all sitting in my bank. What are you gonna do?
I mean Ghost Ahoy. So I could get this handy-dandy little thing. This quest was definitely longer than I remembered, and Robin Hood can kiss my ass because I know you're cheating, Robin Hood. I know you're cheating. How do I get a death rune at the start multiple times?
Wow.
But after getting my ass handed to me a few times in gambling, I finally finished it, and with it now, a few quest points and a pretty convenient teleport. And then after that, the quest just started rolling by, boys. I finished Doric's quest, I slayed me a vampire in Draenor.
Come on out, motherfucker.
Aha! You are killed, boy. I rescued a girl from a plague city. I even saved a tree gnome village. And all of this culminated into the real quest at hand. It was time. Time to slay us a dragon. And not any dragon, Elvarg. Dude, I just have to say, if it wasn't for quest guides, I'd still be back trying to save Pretzel the Priest. Major props go out to whoever figures these things out first to actually create the quest guides. I could never do it. But, nevertheless, we passed all the trials, we received the map pieces, combined them, and with the steady hand of Captain Ned, we pushed towards the dragon's den. And after a long, perilous fight, we eventually slayed the dragon. Alright, I'm lying a little bit. I bought a super anti-fire so she couldn't even hit me. But god damn it, that's neither here nor there. Because now, that sexy green D-hide body was mine! And now that the dragon was slain, I humbly returned and received my reward. Now, being able to wear rune plate bodies and green D-hides kinda made me feel like a king. But then it hit me, like a blast of dragonfire. What was I going to do now? As I wandered through the streets of Varrock like a hero without a cause, I realized this was only the beginning. That there were hundreds of perilous challenges that awaited us. This was merely just the entrance into our journey of becoming one of RuneScape's greatest heroes. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed episode 2 of The Journey. Stay tuned for more episodes. The road ahead of us is definitely going to be a treacherous one that very few have probably been able to trek and live to tell the tale.
If you did appreciate the video and you enjoyed it, I would very much appreciate if you give it a like, a comment, and if you want to see more and more of the series, please do subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.